Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Copy Corner with Terry Schilling and Dan Marzullo, your two favorite writers. And this is our little corner of the internet where we're sharing valuable, insightful, and most importantly, actionable tips that you can use in your copy to help grow your business, whether you're writing for clients, whether you're growing your own small business owner, all that jazz, as we say in the biz. And today we have a very fun topic, Dan. We're going to talk about sales copy.
Yeah, we are, Terry, and I think you've got some pretty interesting insights on this one, so we definitely want to let you kick it off and hear your thoughts today.
All right, so today's topic, we're going to talk about how to handle some of the biggest customer objections in your sales copy. So this is important if you're writing a sales page, even your website. People come to your site or your sales page, but they already have these anchors set in their head and these objections of, should I trust this person? How much will it cost? Will this actually work for me? There are some tips that you can use, and of course some messaging and phrases that you can use to help, handle these objections so that they end up trusting you and become customers. And so I think the first one I want to touch on, Dan, and for everybody listening out there, is if people come to your website, or let's say they click on an ad because you ran an ad for your sales page and they're thinking, I don't need this. This means that you have not done a great job of understanding who your target audience is. If they're reading this already, if they read past the headline, they're already finding ways after the headline of why they should not trust you, why they should not buy this. And so it's important to handle this objection by talking about the ideal audience and the pain points. What problem will they solve, and what will they gain? So be specific. Don't just say a broad sentence like SEO strategy for everyone, or a business coaching course that can work for you. Be more specific in that headline and keep them reading and keep their interest there.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, Terry. I think that's super helpful. Whether you're running a Facebook ad campaign right to that sales page, or however you're getting that in front of them, that's the first step. Is that needs to be stellar copy to even get them to stay on that page or even consider what you have to offer, right?
Right. Absolutely. And it goes back to knowing your USP, your unique selling proposition. You have an idea of who your audience is, but what makes you unique compared to your competitors? And I'm sure you can attest to this when writing content. You want to highlight some of those unique key benefits, that sales proposition, to keep people's interest, of why. Because a lot of times you write content and then you bring it back to the client, to the offer at the end of it. And you just want to make sure that people can understand the unique value that you're offering.
And I think to expand on that a little bit, once you've dialed all that in and you have that stellar copy, I think my advice would be from there to have some killer supporting content assets, right? So that they can have other materials to review to kind of build trust, get to know you, and get educated and feel more comfortable before buying from you. I think if you just kind of have that step one of that sales page, you need a little bit more to really reel them in, whether that's through some educational blog posts, case studies, testimonials, having more content to get them to be interested in what you're doing and trust that you are the right provider for what they need.
Right. And that really ties into another big objection customers have when looking at sales pages in your sales copy is, will this actually work? And you touched on it beautifully, Dan, of adding those case studies, especially testimonials, show that you've had success, with other people, that other people have been able to solve their problems and benefit from whatever you're offering, whether that's your service or your product. So if people are thinking, again, will it work? You have to build that social proof, and that's where testimonials come in. And another one that you touched on a little bit, Dan, was why should I trust you? So if you're an individual selling your services, selling a coaching services, copywriting class, let's say you have an e-commerce product, why should I trust your brand over the other ones? This is really what it comes into building credibility and telling a story. People are a little bit more unaware of what's going on with you, why they should trust you. So tell that story of why you came up with the idea, why it's important to you. Let them get to know you better. And if you are an individual selling a course or selling a product yourself, show your face. Let them know who you are, what you look like, show that they're actually going to be working with an actual human being.
Right. And I think that's so important because a lot of people don't do that, as surprising as that sounds.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you have a couple founders or if you're a family, show a picture of that. Again, tell that story, build that human element of your sales page, because people like working with people they know, that they feel like they know, and that ultimately helps build that trust. It goes back to, the formula of like you, or like get to know you, like you, then trust you. And that's really what you're doing with the sales page at the end of the day too. And then other objections, of course, a big one is price. If you're running a big course, you can break it down to show the value that they're getting if they bought things individually. You can do, this is why Kickstarter is so effective too. It's like, here's the value you can get, but if you back now, you can pay this much price. I don't know if you have anything to touch on that regarding content side or some of the e-commerce products that you've ever worked with, Dan.
Well, yeah, just piggybacking on what you said, I think it's important in that price to kind of reiterate what they're getting, right? Whether that's in a pricing table and you have bullets or however you want to break that down. Right. But, because a lot of people, right, if they go to a landing page or a website, before they even read the copy to see what it is that you're offering, they'll click right to the pricing. So you kind of need to have some reiteration there too to help kind of engage them and reel them in.
Yeah. And the price point thing is big because if you're offering a lot of money, they may obviously be weary of that and just be like, this is too expensive, too much for me right now. But also if you do it too cheap, they're going to think it's cheap and not worth the value either. And this just goes back to some of the other tips we talked about, building that credibility, showing testimonials. If you've worked with big brands or if a lot of big people you've helped, put those things in there because that will help, add people of just like, okay, this is worth the price. And especially if they already offered at this much, I'm getting this much of a discount, this is right up my wheelhouse. I should do this. And then lastly, Dan, any other objections that you may have an FAQ section on your sales page, especially on your website for e-commerce products like we talked about. But think of the biggest questions, reach out to your audience over time if you built an email list and listen to them because they probably have come with issues, with questions. So make sure that you write them and again, try to handle all these objections ahead of time. Because as I said, a lot of people, after they read your headline, they are looking for reasons not to buy from you. But at the end of the day, it shows that they're interested. If they're looking for ways of why they shouldn't buy or trust you, at least you have their interest. So this is where you handle those objections with your copy, with the format and structure of your page or your website, and ultimately get them to become customers and loyal fans, spend their hard-earned money for what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you can, overcome as many of those questions and objections as you can before they buy or before you have that initial consult or whatever it is, it's going to be a way smoother, more seamless process.
Absolutely. Well said. And it's just don't be afraid to handle those objections and even be blunt about it. Say it out loud. It's like you may be wondering, is this worth the price? You can even use that in the copy. If that's
right.
A question you got from an actual customer, put it in there because that shows that you're listening and that you understand the problems and the objections that your customers have. So yeah, those are some of our tips for how to handle customer objections with your copy. Anything else to add, Dan?
I think that's it, Terry. I think we kind of covered all of the main points there.
Yeah. All right. Excellent. Well, everybody, thank you so much for watching another episode of The Copy Corner with Terry Schilling and Dan Marzullo. We love having you here. We love all the engagement that we're getting on these posts. Let us know any big questions, objections that you guys struggle with, maybe within your copy that we can help you guys with in the comments. Dan, anything else before we do our send-off one last time?
I think it would be cool to hear in the comments what are some of the common objections that our writers are overcoming in their sales copy.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it. Well, Dan, thank you again, man, for taking the time with me today, buddy.
Always.
I'm so privileged, man. Thank you, man. I love talking to you, man. You're keeping me sane during all of this, buddy. It's always great to talk to you.
Some social distancing. Yeah.
It's just like I beg Dan every week, can we do another video? And Dan's always like, I don't know, man. But no, I'm just kidding. He's the best. We love doing these. We love doing it for everybody out there. Thanks so much for the support. Love what you do. Proceed with passion. We'll see you on the next episode of The Copy Corner.